Well, it didn't take long for Labor to revive its childish and immature nuclear energy scare campaigns again. A day after the coalition indicated it would likely stick to a nuclear energy policy, aka a policy for cheap, reliable energy to keep the lights on in this country and get us off this renewables-only magic carpet ride, the Energy Minister was up to his old tricks again, posting this picture to Instagram with the caption, "It may not yet be Halloween, but this is the scariest film in town. It's scary because it shows the coalition still doesn't get it." Joining me now is Nuclear for Australia founder Will Shackel. Will, thanks for joining me. So look, they're back already, the scare campaigns, and the coalition has not even yet unveiled a policy.
Look, it's concerning our Energy Minister doesn't realise that that cooling tower is not actually a nuclear reactor. I find it really concerning that the Labor Party is doubling down on this, because when you look around the world, the UK and the US are committed to quadrupling nuclear power. India is planning to increase their nuclear capacity tenfold by 2047, and China is announcing basically 10 reactors every single year. So the rest of the world is moving ahead on this. They realise that nuclear is needed for affordable, reliable, abundant, clean energy, and it's time that the Labor Party realise that.
Look, absolutely, and I'm sure before too long we'll be seeing the three-headed animal pictures being rolled out, and this is why we just can't have a proper debate about energy in this country because of nonsense like that. Now, look, the opposition energy spokesman Dan Tehan has returned from a fact-finding mission to the US, and he said that there is overwhelming agreement on the coalition side that it needs to be part of the energy mix, being nuclear. Well, I have to ask you, do the opposition really need to go to the US just to find that out about nuclear and then spend months trying to figure out an energy policy?
Well, look, the facts about nuclear are very, very clear, and I think it is encouraging that the coalition is still committed to nuclear power because it is needed in our mix. I honestly wish, though, that Labor politicians did the same thing and went overseas, looked at nuclear power plants with their own eyes. There are 440 operable nuclear reactors around the world. This is something that is proven globally, so I really wish that they took a leaf out of the coalition's book right now and had a look at it, because there is precedent for bipartisanship on nuclear power. The UK Labor Party is one of the biggest supporters of nuclear around the world, and the Democrats are also supportive of it. So obviously, we would like to see the coalition push forward ahead with their policy. There are positive indications coming from Dan Tehan at the moment, but at the end of the day, we need bipartisanship on nuclear power, and it is not a hard ask.
Well, look, hopefully we get to that point. It's just, we don't know with Labor on this one-way ticket to renewables fantasy. But it's interesting, Will, because Labor is out claiming that voters backed in their renewables-only plan, and they say, well, this is why we were overwhelmingly elected at the last election. But well, if we cast our minds back, the coalition, I don't think, really prosecuted nuclear, particularly towards the end. They really shied away from it. But in your view, what part of that policy would need to be changed or executed differently to take a foolproof plan on nuclear to the next election?
Well, look, if the public didn't support nuclear power, you would expect it to have been seeing it in the sites of the proposed nuclear power plants. But in reality, none of them actually changed hands. That was despite over $3 million being spent by anti-nuclear groups across the country on an anti-nuclear disinformation campaign. I think for the coalition, they need to be keeping all options on the table, looking at the vast array of nuclear technologies, whether it's micro-reactors, small modular reactors, large nuclear reactors, as we see around the world. But at the end of the day, the biggest priority must be lifting the nuclear power prohibition. Australia is the only top 20 economy with a ban on nuclear power, yet we have the most uranium in the world. We've got the expertise managing research reactors, and we're about to get nuclear submarines. It is only just makes sense to lift the ban, and I hope that the coalition focus on that and then see what else they can do in terms of nuclear policy for Australia.
Look, absolutely, we are a uranium powerhouse. What a shame we don't use it to its purpose. Will Shackel, thank you very much for joining me on the program. Really appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Danica.